Welcome back to Foundry Talks. Today's episode is all about the kind of hospitality work that rarely gets the spotlight, but really makes all the difference. We're talking about events, launches, brand activations, VIP experiences, and the creative, logistical, and emotional energy it takes to make them feel effortless. I'm joined by Andra Escola and Kirsten VanBrunt, two people who have spent their careers making other people's moments memorable. In this conversation, we get into how they think about space, guest flow, and the storytelling through design. If you've ever had to turn a hotel ballroom into something magical or just want a deeper look at how hospitality brands show up in the real world, there's a lot in here for you. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Foundry Talks. I'm Rachel Stojanovski, and today I'm joined by Kirsten VanBrunt and Andra Escola, who each bring decades of experience in the meetings and events industry, working with luxury resorts and hospitality groups. So Kirsten and Andra, welcome. We're so excited to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you, Rachel.
All right. So we'd like to start just maybe each of you can give us a little bit of your background, tell us a little bit about yourselves, what led you into the meeting and event space. So Andra, why don't you kick us off?
Great. Well, I'm Andra Escola, and I am born and raised here in Santa Barbara. I come from a family who moved here from Italy 4 generations ago as lemon grafters. And for myself, I spent a year after college traveling around the world on one of those keep traveling forward on a plane ticket for a year. Realized I really liked being on vacation. And my first hotel that I worked at was an all-inclusive property in St. Thomas. And you last about a year and a half down in the Caribbean and ended up moving back to Santa Barbara and have been here ever since and feel very fortunate to work in the luxury hospitality.
I love it. Okay. And Kirsten, who we lovingly refer to as KVB.
Yes.
Well, okay, so I'm KVB. And let's see, where can I start? Well, I'm going to start actually back to when I was in grade school. And actually my most memorable, I don't know, what do we even call those? Not a site inspection, but a field trip would have been, we went into a hotel, and it was like the one hotel that was in Portland, Oregon, which is where I'm from. And we did a site or field trip around the hotel. We went into the kitchen, we went into the ballroom. And as a kid, and looking at all of that, it was like, wow, that's the coolest thing ever. Well, then fast forward to, I don't know, I might have been in high school now. And my stepfather did a lot of traveling, and we stayed at a Four Seasons for the first time in Seattle. Yeah. And they had chocolates on the bed. And I was like, wow, this is the coolest place ever. And then fast forward. So now I'm out of college, and my girlfriend says, hey, do you want to move to Hawaii? And I said, yes, I'd love to move to Hawaii. So we go off to Hawaii and Maui, to be exact. And really, in Maui, you have a choice. You can either be, I don't know, a pineapple picker or work in the hospitality industry. So yeah. I kind of hit the streets in Kaanapali, picked up a job in the hospitality industry at a hotel. And then everything just kind of spun out of control. And here I am years later.
I love it.
Still in the business and still love it.
And still love it. I love it.
We're not supposed to say we've been in the industry over 30 years. Our life coaches say only 20 years plus.
No, you're just building on your credibility and your experience and your trust when you say over 30 years. I love it. Okay, so you guys have both clearly been in the industry for so long. I'm sure that there are so many things, but is there something special or particular that just continues to inspire you that has kept you in this field for as long as you've been? And KVB, why don't we start with you this time?
Okay. So what inspires me most about this field, I guess, is that every day is a different day. Every group is a different group. Every wedding is a different wedding. And everyone wants to be bigger, better than the last one. So it kind of, it really expands your horizon and makes you want to find something better for them each and every time. And, you know, every event right now, I'm doing a lot of weddings, and it's just there. Every weekend I'm saying this one is the most beautiful. And then the next week, this one's the most beautiful. And I don't know.
But even on the weddings point, like when we got involved in these kind of events, it was only Bridal Magazine. So like, I remember when we had a pastry chef and Pinterest came online and he was like, Pinterest. Now I'm like, okay, we have AI. Like you can chat GPT, like what's the most amazing wedding in the entire world in Santa Barbara? And it'll tell you what the most amazing wedding is going to be. So when I look back at like, you only had a magazine and you ripped out the piece of paper of what the cake looked like. Like where we are today, it's just, how do you keep up with everything?
Yeah. And it is a lot of keeping up.
Yeah, it's like that scene in Father of the Bride where she falls asleep with the bride's magazine, you know, and they're flipping through a laminated book of cake pictures, like how things have changed. I'm sure we could have our own separate conversation about just the evolution of this industry from where we started to now. But is there something that has remained the same? Like, is there something that, even though things change, trends change, something that's been consistent?
Andra and I.
That's true.
You know, I mean, you're still going to be serving food. You're still trying to make a connection. And that's the most important. You know, I think with some of the digital age, you know, you're trying to make connections online. And really, I think ever since we've had, I don't know, 9/11 or COVID, I mean, people are social creatures. I listened to a podcast today and it was like having an AI boyfriend, and he's really nice. He says everything that you want him to say, but like, I don't know. So I think the human connection with these events is always going to be the most important thing.
For sure.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so most people really only see the beautiful or the end result of an event, but they don't really take into consideration how much goes on behind the scenes to make that happen. Can you walk us through like a snapshot of what your role really looks like when you make a major event, a buyout, a wedding, something like that? What does that process look like?
I think that creating the relationship with the client, that you have the trust, and asking the right questions to like see what their vision is. And I always tell people my job is very similar to maybe a contractor or, you know, something like an architect. It's like I have my own vision of what I like, but that's not what the client necessarily has the vision. And so making that connection, trying to ask the appropriate questions. What did you do last time? What worked well? What didn't work well? What's a problem? What's not a problem? And then you're involving all these different people. You're involving, you know, like building a house, an electrician and the stucco guy and all that kind of stuff. We're doing that same thing, I think, in the events world, where we're bringing in, how do you make sure there's not 5 trucks unloading at the same time to build out what that event looks like inside the ballroom, and logistics really plays a part of it. And it can cause a lot of stress in other departments if you're not really organized. And I always tell people, try and be as organized as possible in this field, right? So
What about for you, KVB? Anything Andra missed?
No, I love the contractor
analogy
there. But no, I think it's important, you know, as Andra mentioned, to be able to, our role is really about pulling all of those resources together and making sure that everybody is on track and stays on track throughout, so that it doesn't impact the different departments within the hotel, and trying to keep it as keep the lines of communication open on both sides, whether it's external or internal, and making sure that it just moves smoothly.
Kirsten's really good at organizing hundreds of boxes and where those are. So let me tell you, if you need box maintenance, Kirsten's on it.
Okay, so kind of in that same vein, how do you make sure that every department is in sync? I mean, do you just really have to stay on top of them? Is there something that you like, okay, this is my tried and true way to make sure that every department is on the ball, I can trust them? And I'm sure that there's like an aspect of that relationship too. The trust. You need to make sure like, okay, I know they've got it. I told them once, I know they've got it.
Yeah.
Right. The key is to know who's going to get it, right? Because you want to be able to go to the person that you have the most trust in, and you know that they're able to communicate to everybody else, and you just know that it's foolproof at that point. But I think what's important is to really bring everybody into the collaboration and understanding that we make a resume, which is a document. Rachel, that is basically kind of involves every department, kind of gives them a insight as to the movement of the group or the movement of the wedding. And one of the things that we found that was most successful, I guess, is to have a meeting with all of the teams and say, hey, what is it that you need? What's important for us to communicate? Because it's not about, I can write for days about nonsensical stuff that really doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, what is the point?
You're executing.
What is it that what information do you need from me in order to be successful? So that I think is important in the communication and collaboration in getting the word across and being able to execute a program throughout the program.
And I think trying to get the buy-in from the team at the hotel that this is our program. It's not Andra's program, and it's, it's not Kirsten's program. It's our program, and the success lies in each one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
And the buy-in comes at the time of a site inspection. So getting people involved early so that they can then start to come up with their ideas and throw out their thoughts and how it would work best. And, that's always helpful as well.
Yeah. I love that. It's so funny now that we've, had so many different guests from different brands and properties and, even a little bit of different industries. There's always this common thread that we see come up, and it's always the human connection and then also getting your team's buy-in and support. And how do you do that? And I think that that's especially in the world of hospitality when you're really you're kind of turning stuff over to different departments as the wedding or the group or the incentive trip goes on. And so to be able to really trust and have that buy-in from the team is just really important. And so I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, Kirsten and I have both read Unreasonable Hospitality. We love that book, not to plug it, but anyways, it talks about 11 Madison Park, and, they pivoted, I think, on innovation. Today, our team was talking about innovation, and after COVID, 11 Madison switched to a totally vegan menu. And I think last week they're introducing meat back. So you can never be too shy about constantly making changes and innovating. And okay, our guests are wanting to have meat focused, not just vegan. And how do you pivot and change and listen and be on point with guests?
Yeah. And not afraid to make a change.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you made a change and that stunk. And that innovative idea doesn't work. So
but learning from it, we tried and it didn't work, so that's okay. And I think I love that insight too. Okay, so switching gears a little bit, because you both have been in Santa Barbara for such a long time and have such deep roots. I think sometimes when we talk with clients and with hotel partners that are just getting started, some of them, I think everyone realizes the value of the destination, but really misses sometimes how the destination can play a part in a wedding or in a group event. And I mean, you both know and love Santa Barbara. So how has your experience been making the destination become part of a group's experience? And what's the benefit of weaving in the destination story of local culture, history, and scenery? And how can that really elevate a trip for a group?
I mean, Kirsten and I kind of were talking about Santa Barbara, and, we have definitely had numerous events at the courthouse, the historical museum, Lotus Land, all these favorites, the mission,
Yeah.
spots that we really enjoy.
Yeah.
I think we're lucky that our Visit Santa Barbara is a very strong convention and visitors bureau in Santa Barbara. And we've, over the last 30 years, we have never changed from being America Riviera. But when we both started, I was saying to Kirsten, one of the things that's really unique in Santa Barbara was 25 years ago, there was no Bacara. 25 years ago, the El Encanto was in disrepair. 25 years ago, Miramar was in disrepair. 25 years ago, the San Ysidro Ranch hadn't been renovated.
Yeah.
There was no Hotel California. And we're really in this pivotal time where we are seeing a lot of luxury brands coming back that had been here in the 20s.
Yeah.
When right now, Santa Barbara is celebrating the 100th year of the earthquake.
Yeah.
And Potter Hotel was this beautiful luxury property, which is no longer in Santa Barbara. And people from all over the world came to Santa Barbara during that time. But I think we're in this kind of pivotal time where we have a lot of different
options,
luxury brand names to draw people to Santa Barbara as a destination.
Yeah.
And I may have just gotten off point on the specific question. But I think it's an exciting time to be in Santa Barbara, with what is going to be the rebrand of El Encanto, Four Seasons eventually coming back online.
Yeah.
What was the original?
Yeah. And just how do you infuse the destination into these group trips?
I mean, that's Santa Barbara Uni. That is,
right.
I think Kirsten's working on like a infused botanical, drink. Isn't you?
Oh, we're always doing that. Yes.
It's like, okay, it's again, that sense of place. What is the defining moment of the day, and I think like in Santa Barbara, we're so lucky because compared to our Orange County or our friends up in Napa, we have the ocean, plus we have the wine country.
Right.
And that is, and we're 100,000 person town. I saw that Santa Barbara Airport is now expanding with some additional direct flights, as well as I think we're at 1.4 million visitors flying through our airport. I mean, back in the day, I don't even know, maybe we had 200,000 people that were flying through Santa Barbara,
right?
But having these East Coast connections and again, I think I got off my back.
No, and I think people appreciate the fact that, there is a lot of culture in this town. It's a small town, which is an advantage, and there's a lot of culture in the destination. And there's a great variety and a lot of activities for people to do. We were talking earlier about the fact that what draws people into Santa Barbara, and the fact that, and this might not be a topic about Santa Barbara, but just the idea that not a lot of people are traveling internationally any longer. So they're looking for a destination that kind of gives them a little bit of everything, yet they're trying to, one up their last trip, which might've been to Portugal, which all of us want to go to Portugal, but that's kind of a place where they're looking for something in the United States that gives them that culture, I guess. And there's not a lot of places in the United States that offer that. Well, in Santa Barbara, on the other hand, we have everything. We've got the wine country, we've got the ocean, we've got, just so many different activities, great restaurants and different activities that tie in the culture. We've got so much history here. And and a lot of unique items to Santa Barbara, like the Uni.
Yes. Or even the downtown,
Urban Wine Trail. There's so many things. Okay. And so some of our other, I think a question that comes up too is how can I, what is a DMC and how can I engage a DMC partner and what's the benefit? And what I loved about seeing events that you guys put together is really partnering with them and guests that maybe if they had gone somewhere else or you didn't partner with the DMC would have this experience that was so solely on property that it almost didn't feel like they got to experience the destination. But by bringing that in, it was like they got the best of both worlds. They got to experience this wonderful resort, but then also really got to feel like they had a sense of where they were.
Right.
I mean, I think the nice thing is the DMC is the destination management company. So that's for anybody who's getting new into the business, what that code is. But the DMC is really, instead of you personally having to find the florals, find the musician, figure out 7 different activities and all this, plus the transportation, they are your one stop of that other extra curricular, right?
Right. And they're also, they specialize in the destination, right? So
very valuable, I think.
Where we have to specialize internally within the resort and know every, nook and cranny and place that they could go to, and every food item that's on every menu, and the time of every restaurant, and the time the pool opens and closes, and all of this stuff. They will specialize in what's happening in the destination, what's hot, what's not, restaurants to go to, and they may, and I don't know if you're going to ask this next question here, but what makes them special and great is the fact that, what makes someone a better DMC than the next one is the fact that they do have connections and relationships with different people throughout the town, and they are creative and can come up with creative ideas that work within Santa Barbara that aren't just, we're going to take you out on a boat and you're going to, see Santa Barbara from the ocean. No, they may take you to the Santa Barbara Bowl and bring in some headliner and have your own special concert, right? That is in an amphitheater that's super phenomenal. So they're going to come up with different things, or they're going to go to the courthouse. And Andrea, you can speak to the courthouse. Like, what would they do there that's unique and
for
fun?
people in Santa Barbara that aren't familiar with what you can do at the courthouse. I mean, we have removed all the benches in the mural room and created a nightclub. We've created a dinner. We've had keynote speakers. We've had, fiesta
concerts on the steps.
The steps, which are never going to happen ever again with the headliner. But it's very, I mean, we have, I think the Santa Barbara Courthouse is voted one of the top 10 courthouse destinations in the U.S. And it's a beautiful, beautiful spot that we get to enjoy during movies during the summer or whatever. But to share it with our clients, it's they walk away going like, wow, this is really an amazing spot.
Right. Yeah. Or the history of Bella Squarto or Lotus Land. And, those are a couple other venues that are phenomenal that.
I always think like people talk about the East Saint Laurent Gardens. Kirsten and I have both been there in Marrakesh, and like Lotus Land is 100% more amazing than the East Saint Laurent Gardens. So
it's amazing.
And again, another really special spot that 100 years ago was gifted to, our community. So pretty amazing.
I think people don't realize, because I think, and Kogi, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like typically people who are going on these group trips or incentive trips, they've gone on 1 or 2 before. They're kind of familiar with the process.
Mexico, Hawaii.
Yeah, different places. Do you find that they have any feedback that makes, like, when they're here, like they're surprised, like, oh, wow, like we're doing all this stuff in the community. Like, I didn't even know you guys had this. This was amazing. Like this rivals what I've seen in Marrakesh. Like, this is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's again, when a group can bring their attendees to a place like this, where most often they're first timers into Santa Barbara, I guarantee you that they will come back to Santa Barbara. So having the group business is definitely a plus for Santa Barbara.
I think also, after being like Kirsten and I working together for 30 years, I always find it really interesting to be like, oh, the CEO just moved here. He did a program 10 years ago, and now he's moved to Santa Barbara. I'm always like blown away how many people have relocated and moved to Santa Barbara because probably their program happened, and we touched it. And
I love that. I love that. Okay, so we talked a little bit about incentive programs and what really can make them unforgettable. Is there anything a smaller or boutique hotel should understand or try to do when they think about how can we position ourselves to be able to offer or to look attractive to people who are looking to plan incentive trips? Like where would you start?
We both said to have like a unique space at your property.
Yeah.
Specifically on the first night. I think it's really hard to go off property your first night.
Yeah.
Your guests have been traveling, not sure how long they've traveled. It's really nice to have a nice welcome to Santa Barbara event that's locally based. So, and that could be meaning you have a wine sommelier at that welcome event and you're tasting a taste of Santa Barbara with whites and pinots. And that I think is a nice welcome to Santa Barbara. You could have a little bit of that Spanish flair as well. You could bring in the uni. You could have a little bit of paella. You could have a little bit of you could have a little bit of tri-tip. Actually, somebody I work with just drove to Santa Maria to try tri-tip. I was like, okay, well, I think you could just try tri-tip here in Santa Barbara. But
hey, you never know. They're famous for it. Okay, so just infusing some of the destination. So finding a partner or like thinking about what is your destination known for? How can you showcase that a little bit more and give people a taste of wherever they are?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
And I think, for incentive groups, they're always looking for something unique with the gifting. And I'm seeing a little bit where the client is gifting and sending the package in advance. So they're mailing it to the person's house, maybe 2 months in advance, like they just won the incentive to come to Santa Barbara, and they're sending something that's creative, that's Santa Barbara based. So it's a gift,
Santa Barbara teaser,
a Santa Barbara teaser. It's a bottle of wine. It's like Santa Barbara popcorn or Santa Barbara based food and beverage. That's giving that guest that's excited to come to Santa Barbara. And what does that look like? So
I love that. Yeah, because then they're excited, and I feel like that's an opportunity for them to even tease it out on social. I mean, from what I've seen, most of these incentive groups and trips have like a dedicated hashtag or something like that, and so to be able to just extend that excitement leading up to it is such a fun idea.
Yeah,
love it. Okay, and what do you think planners are looking for most in today's incentive landscape?
What planners are, sorry, repeat that last part.
Yeah, what are planners looking for? So or planners, the business, what are they looking for when they're scouting different places to have their incentive trip?
Well, I think that they're looking for, first of all, they're looking for a great destination, as we talked about earlier, that offers a lot of activities and can keep their guests busy and engaged. I think that they are also looking for a property that people want to enjoy, a property that has all the amenities, like the pool is important and the spa might be important, and whether they want to be on a golf course, that's important. At one time, tennis was important. I think it's kind of coming back, but
pickleball,
pickleball now. But those types of activities, because you're trying to engage and entice a large variety of people that have different needs and wants and desires, right, for their trip. So that's one. But I also think from a planner perspective and looking into it, that they're looking for a property that's also easy, because they want to be able to work with people that, let's face it, everyone is a little bit limited on staffing, and they've so they need to be able to rely and depend on a property that is going to make their program successful. So I think they have to have, going back to our original first few sentences, like they're going to need a lot of trust in the property. Right.
I think even for the planner at the beginning stages of selecting a destination is looking at the Visitors Bureau. What does their webpage look like? And I do direct a lot of clients to our Visit Santa Barbara webpage, because I think it looks so great with the activities, the restaurants and things like that. And when you compare sometimes side by side with other destinations, there is differences. So.
Which
Yeah, so this is a PSA for all destinations. Get your websites in order.
Yes, well, and having a presence on the local Visit Santa Barbara website, right? Because if people are going there to look at the destination, they may not know that there's a Rosewood in town, right? Unless they are seeing it on the website.
Right. Yeah, I love it. Okay, so switching gears a little bit from incentive travel to weddings and high profile events. Mm-hmm. So Kirsten, you've managed some really iconic weddings that we won't name, even though we'd love to. What goes into managing something of that scale?
What goes into that? Well, first of all, a lot of patience. I think, I'm going to go back to the word, and I'm overusing it probably, but trust is really, really important. Being able to listen to what the guest's needs are, or the wedding planner. Having a good understanding of their vision, so that we can then make sure it's possible to do that. Like, do they want to remove the chandeliers in the ballroom? That probably isn't a good option, but do they want to do florals around the chandeliers? Well, that could be an option, so being able to think about different options that they might have around the property, because as I mentioned earlier, everybody's always trying to outdo the last wedding maybe that they went to, or the last event that they went to. So having some great some great experiences that you can elaborate on are helpful.
Yeah. And sometimes you got a lot more cooks in the kitchen, like a lot more
people with opinions when it comes to weddings.
A lot of people with opinions.
Yeah. Okay. And then from we're so lucky in this destination in Santa Barbara, it is an iconic wedding destination. So we're not really short of leads coming into this destination for people wanting to get married here. But for maybe a destination that's not as well known, and, even back when Santa Barbara was becoming popular for weddings, are there any pieces of collateral or materials or things that on the website that you feel like are a must-have to really showcase what you can do for weddings? And I know this is it's always a challenge. Like, how do we get pictures? We got to get pictures. But anything else that you feel like a hotel should kind of go through a checklist, like, okay, here's what we need to really sell a wedding and be able to sell and showcase that we do it well.
Right. Well, I think you nailed it with the photos. I mean, that's probably the most important, right? So if I were a hotel starting out and I wanted to attract weddings, I first would probably determine what is the most beautiful location for a ceremony, because anybody that gets married in Santa Barbara is looking for a ceremony outdoors.
Yeah.
So finding that venue that is very appealing to the eye is important, but also knowing that, a lot of the planners that come in and that are involved in weddings like to work with a blank canvas. So you kind of have to play between you want to make it very appealing at the first look, but also knowing that you don't want to over decorate or overemphasize that, overstyle it, because every person wants to make their wedding a little bit different. So they're going to look for more of a blank canvas type of style, but you need to have muted colors so that, then you go into the ballroom, the biggest turnoff. And I've worked in hotels like that have, elk on the carpet and, or bright red carpet or whatever. I mean, it's really hard for someone to visualize their pink wedding in a carpet that has reindeers, and so it's finding the balance between a beautiful, appealing room yet a blank canvas.
I just did a site tour of Southern California of luxury properties, and one thing that I came away with is almost everyone's doing turf. So it's not real grass. It looks perfect year round. And it would be something to consider. So if you're looking at any luxury properties down south and looking for inspiration, we don't necessarily do it in Santa Barbara, but I think it makes for the perfect picture. So,
but it's not my style.
Okay, not my style either. But
I would say, buy turf. No, don't buy turf. But There's ways around turf.
Yeah. Are there any like frequently asked questions that would be good to include on like your wedding section of your website? And I feel like there's always mixed opinions with being transparent on pricing. Do you feel like that having at least a baseline included on what the wedding packages start at is important and kind of helps weed out calls or leads or RFPs that maybe wouldn't even make sense?
That's $1 million question.
I mean, ultimately it's like, if you're getting married on a Tuesday, you're going to maybe get a great deal for a lunch. Wedding. You know, I mean, it's hard because there's only 52
weekends
Saturdays
a year.
a year. And I mean, we came from a point where we used to do 5 weddings a day. That business model is done. Nobody's doing that. Everyone, there's no time to do a 2-hour turn. We were doing 2-hour turns at one point from a lunch to a dinner. You finished at 4 and 6 o'clock started the dinner event. And, you know, with everything that's involved with the wedding, it's gotten so much more complicated.
Right. Well, for sure, because what's happened is that as you go into luxury, you get more, your weddings have evolved into a day or 2-day setup time now because they're so elaborate that you need that time. So those days of the simple wedding are really over.
The guest rooms really take a
priority
negotiation, I would say. So
in some hotels,
you know, some smaller hotels that could be an advantage is like, you could buy out the whole hotel and have this amazing, you know, intimate wedding.
Which is something that, you know, more planners should consider is buying out the hotel. I mean, when you've got a hotel that is, you know, 150 rooms, buying out the resort for your guests is I'm not going to say it's affordable, but it is definitely something to consider for these high-end weddings. And then you can do more of an elaborate setup and you've got all of your guests concentrated in one location. You don't have the travel expenses of transferring them around. But getting back to your original question on whether or not we should be posting prices, I would, my vote on that would be no, because I think it's important to see that, you know, you want to attract them visually first. And you don't want to turn them off with the price from the start. You want to be able to attract them visually, and then you ease into the price and what the options are. And then, you know, and by that point, they're already in love with you. So
then they'll make it happen no matter what.
So at that point, they've already talked about how they're going to figure it all out with the finances. So, I mean, and at the end of the day, I think that I'm not going to say that. Actually, I was going to say most people understand that luxury, there's a cost to luxury. However, not everybody does. And, you know, it's worth just talking and educating them through the process. So,
and I would imagine that it's
first.
You
know, like, did the wedding dress get to you first? Did the band get to you first? You know, like some of that can take up, you know, a large part of the budget.
Right. Did the wedding planner get to you first?
Well, and I imagine that especially now with weddings becoming just so much more elaborate and unique and having such different setups that and needs, each wedding has probably a really different need. So it's probably kind of hard to even do baseline pricing because it really just depends. There's so many factors. So you really have to just track them through, get them to call, get them to fill out a form, and then follow up from there, it sounds like is the best course of action.
Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the destination weddings, a lot of people think that there's not going to be the response to attend. But I have some friends that are like, I definitely didn't know that 40 extra people, you know, in this like destination, and that's an added expense. And that I didn't know that it's a risk. Like, are the people you're going to invite to go to Europe or wherever, are they going to show up? And I don't know, maybe they are.
Yeah. That's a good point. I guess, you got to plan for everyone that you invite.
Yes, I was just invited to a wedding in Italy, and I was like, "You really think I have time to go to Italy?" No,
you declined.
No,
politely declined.
I would love to go to Italy, but
Yeah. So looking at how really the human connection and how a high level of service can serve as a strategy, you both have managed super fast-paced, detail-heavy programs. How do you stay calm and deliver consistent service and such a high level of service?
I mean, I think we both say we like to work hard, play hard. And you kind of micromanage. The funny thing is Kirsten and I both have paper calendars. So people are like, okay,
how do you survive
digital? But being for whatever reason, for us, it works still to have this paper calendar where you can blend your personal into your professional, because sometimes when you're just on the digital through work, you lose sight of the personal.
Right, because then you've got a to-do list and a calendar, and you've got them combined when it's on paper. I don't know.
Yeah. I think we both are trying to find time to do exercise and like eat right, make connections.
Work-life balance.
I think what's important at the end of the day, because yes, there's frustrating times and there are days where you're just, actually there are weeks where you could be
pull
just like, is this ever going to end? But I think with experience, we both have been doing this for a while, and you know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. So you know that you can get through it. And we've had experiences where you think there is no way you are ever going to be able to pull this together, because it's like chasing cats 24/7, and you may have 3 programs and a wedding all at the same time going off, and they're all going in different directions. And you're just like, so you just take it one step at a time, check each thing off and make sure that you've got it covered, and, go on to the next. And getting back to how do we do it? I think you have to have a person that you can go, I'm losing my mind. Right. And
we spend a lot of time talking on the way to work.
We spend a lot of time talking on the way home. Like, can you believe it? So it's being able to have that outlet where you can, because you are on so much throughout the day. I mean, today I've had 3 site inspections and, meeting after meeting, and every single one of those, I'm like, hello, it's so nice to see you. Meanwhile, my phone is like, beep, 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 and you have to have that game face the whole time. So when you get off, you want to be able to, or have a coworker that you can.
No, but I think that that's so important. And I think that's what makes hospitality I think it's just one of the things that makes it so special and so magical, is like, you are in the trenches together. Like, you are doing the crazy stuff, the busy stuff, but you are walking that together, and I think that's another way to really get buy-in from your team. And what I love about both of you is, like, you're not afraid to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty, and you put in, like, you walk the walk. And I think that's part of the magic of hospitality. It's the exhausting part and the stressful part, but also the part that turns those people into your family and your closest friends too.
Love it. I think we also both find like a lot of reward from also giving back to community. Like, we love Santa Barbara. We love giving back to the nonprofits, and you're like tired and you're like, oh my God, I don't have any time. I don't want to take more time right now. I think where I'm working there, we're doing happy birthday cakes to the rescue mission in Santa Barbara. And I'm like, you know what? I have an hour of my time to go and deliver a cake at rescue mission and make somebody feel great for the 1 hour. And is it taken away from my family? They know that that's important to me as well, as just like, like, we're so grateful to live in this amazing town, and like, any way we can make those connections or the give back, or, but don't be calling us every minute for the donations. I'm just kidding. No, keep them coming.
I love it. Okay, so we've talked about trends in incentive travel and in the travel space. Are there any new challenges, or if we want to be positive, new opportunities that you're seeing take place?
Well, so I was telling Kirsten that AI is very interesting. So if if you just go and chat GPT and you go, I did this one. Create a luxury special event in Santa Barbara, California that is coastal and extremely upgraded seafood adventure. In 1 minute gave me, I'm having a private estate. I have a private chef. Guests arrive at sunset, greeted with a signature cocktail crafted with the local ingredients, Pacific Breeze martini featuring seaweed infused gin. Interactive raw bar featuring the shucking of Santa Barbara spot prawns, oysters, and uni paired with champagne. Set in elegantly styled cabanas, each station is curated by renowned chef highlighting Santa Barbara's seafood bounty. I mean,
it goes on and on.
You could go on and on. I then chat GPT'd, what did I then say? Create a team building experience in Santa Barbara at a hotel. It automatically said Coastal Connections is an immersive team building experience that blends professional development. It had my entire itinerary. Day 1, arrival and welcome reception, check-in, personalized check-in with welcome guests, branded beach kits with local wine, welcome reception hosted by the hotel's oceanfront terrace, cocktail area featuring local wines, craft beers, coastal-inspired hors d'oeuvres. In 1 minute, told me my 3-day itinerary. I was at a conference, and I was telling Kirsten that I was on a team, and we were to create an amazing après-ski event. And I told the team I was on, which was luxury with other people. And I said, I've never been to an après ski. I put it in chat GPT. I had a professional DJ that snowboarded down the snow slope. He jumped off of the ramp. He then was in the DJ booth. We were doing a luge with a cocktail in my mouth. I'm like, fire pits, branded blankets, and I was like, I've never done a après ski, but
I feel like I have now.
I've done it.
Okay, so while AI can be such a good tool for like inspo, and it's only going to get better, right? But for inspo and giving you ideas, do you think it's going to, like, I don't think that it can replace the knowledge and the power and the excellence of working with a professional that is so seasoned, like both of you. Like,
I you know what, the stuff that I see that I think could be the next generation is, I'm an event planner. I have your menus. I'm kind of, why do I have to build my own spreadsheet, send it to you, and then it gets built? Why can't there be the program on the hotel's website and I'm kind of building my own event order?
Yeah, like an a la carte option.
And there I'm taking a little bit of the process off of the event planner.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't think the event planner is going away.
Yeah.
Definitely not in the luxury market, but is there ways to change it a little bit?
Maybe.
So
yeah.
I think
KVB, what about you? Any ideas?
Yeah. You mean any good ideas, or am I things that I'm experiencing right now that are?
Yeah, things you're experiencing now, or do you think that like
opportunities? You said opportunities earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the opportunity that I think on the flip side to, the chat GP is that I think what I'm finding is, and this has been since, I hate to be cliche and say since COVID, but it is since COVID, where you do have the limited staffing and or, maybe some inexperienced planners, I'll say, that are out there. They do rely more heavily, I think, on the conference services or event manager at the hotel.
Yeah.
Which can sometimes be challenging. It's very last minute.
Yeah.
And it's really hard in the hotel to explain, because that's a reflection on you.
Right.
And if I've got a wedding planner that's waiting until the last week to get me details of the wedding because they had, 3 other big weddings in the past weekend, it makes it, and then I'm getting the information out late, and then I'm having to revise it 2 days before, and then I'm adding,
it's just not
changing
sustainable.
the menu one day before, and you can just imagine how the chefs are taking that. And, and it's a reflection on you, even though you have made every single effort to get it right from the beginning. So we have ways of, creating BEOs that are like, what am I trying to say? Like a staple BEO that, you can kind of copy over. And then, but at the end of the day, that's the challenge. I think that's much more so than in the past where everything is so last minute.
Very last minute right now.
Now where chat GP comes into play is that, you can actually, planners and or event planners and wedding planners can actually come up with great ideas and maybe know that sooner rather than later because they're so busy. Everyone's so busy that nobody has the time to think anymore, So having an outlet or an option
tool.
like that, a resource like that, I guess that's the word, can be helpful. But then they rely upon the hotel to, execute it.
They're like, okay, here's Andra's great. Here's Andra's great plan. Now let's see if it's possible.
It's not going to happen in like 1 month.
I love it. Okay, well, that kind of goes into something else I was going to ask was just how can DMC partners or planners better support or collaborate with the on-property teams? And so it sounds like just being a little more responsive, getting stuff in advance, and just making sure those lines of communication are always open and flowing.
Right. I think them knowing the timelines and what we have to get accomplished is important, right? And so if you've got a good partner that you're working with, you can tell them, hey, we need the this by this time and we need that, the rooming list by this date. And
I think I was even saying to Kirsten, like, one of the things is asking, what is your wow? Like if the client's like, you need a really big wow factor. Okay. A wow factor in Santa Barbara could be, we're going to have a mariachi band and there's going to be a burro and he's got Coronas in the side pouches. I recently sat down with a client and I was like, okay, well, she's like, we need something really wow in Santa Barbara. And I'm like, okay, well, what did you do at your last program for your wow? And she's like, we were in Costa Rica and they had these huge trees in the ballroom and the performers all had on this day glow body paint and they were painted like jaguars.
Oh my gosh.
And they came in, they black lighted the entire ballroom and they came in and the performers were climbing the trees like a jaguar and stuff. Okay. Well, my little mariachi burro is going to look really weird if I'm not asking like, what is your wow? And I think every planner, it sets the mind tone of like, what's the budget?
Right.
And can I give a really wild idea or do I need to tame it back? You know?
Yeah.
So, and that goes into asking questions and listening, going back to what we originally spoke about. That's important.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, I just had 2 more things I want to ask. So first, any standout memory from a group experience or a wedding that still makes you smile or left you with the impression like, this is why I do this? That's part 1. Part 2, favorite travel destination and or hotel you've stayed at in your life.
Oh, okay.
Andra, why don't you go first?
Okay. So I did mention to Kirsten that I go, you know what? We're really lucky. Like we have met every single president since Ronald Reagan to today's president. Yeah. We have met so many movie stars, musicians, sports athletes, authors, keynote speakers,
the Dalai Lama.
Yeah. Like it's mind boggling. And there's nobody that I can say, oh, I really wish I saw them. I feel like I've seen them in my lifetime. And
who else can say that? Like, that's amazing.
I've always talked about this one gentleman that I worked with. His name was Gregorio Santana. Peace out if you're watching this. But Gregorio Santana, 45 years working in luxury. And I'm like, I can't even, like, he has stood in the back of the room, very professional, and listened to every keynote speaker in the entire world. And or musician or whoever it is. And always with these thumbs that just told everybody what to do. He was the maestro of the ballroom.
I love it.
My favorite story ever or event, I don't know. Was it turning the ballroom into a Christmas,
Wonderland.
with snow, and then all of a sudden it's a beach? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, we've done, as Andrew mentioned, a lot of great events, but I think the best events for me personally that I walk away from and just go, wow, is when I can say, wow, I'm so proud of my team and what they did and how we all worked together and how we accomplished something that we thought was impossible.
And the client's like, wow, that was
amazing. Yeah. So those are the ones that I think are the most memorable for me.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think meetings and events or conference services, whatever you call it, it's one of the few departments that really touches every single department at the hotel. From front desk to the bellman, to the concierge, to valet, to marketing and the restaurants and banquets. I mean, you really are working with every single department. And so to pull off something on such a large scale, like a buyout or a massive wedding where everyone has felt like they contributed is a really special feeling. I love that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And favorite personal travel, trip, place, destination, hotel that you wish you could go back, or you're so glad that you got to experience that?
Well, my favorite, just because it's probably the most recent, and every trip I go on, I go, that was my favorite. And, so the most that was doing the Christmas markets at Christmas time through Europe. That was by far one of the better trips. We accomplished everything. We went to Vienna, to Prague, to London, to Bruges, to Paris over Christmas time, which is amazing. Strongly recommend it to everyone. And Bruges was by far one of my favorite of those five countries. 5 countries, no, 5 cities in 5 countries. Anyway, favorite. But my favorite, I think, country is going to be Portugal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. All right, Andra, what about you?
Okay, so I've been fortunate to travel to, I think it's 73 countries.
Amazing.
And one personal favorite has been hiking in the Himalayas by myself, like, I don't know, with the guide, but the Annapurna Trail, living very simply, but like a magical spot. So if anybody ever gets to Nepal and you get a chance to hike the Annapurna, it's a magical location.
Yeah.
Favorite hotel? It's a toss-up between St. Regis Punta Mita and Four Seasons Punta Mita. I love that location. I've been going there ever since Four Seasons Punta Mita opened, and took the local bus on a dirt road there. Now there's a major highway and the whole peninsula has been built out. But I love those two locations. When you're sitting there and you're looking at the ocean, there's a lot of, the weird part is there's a lot of action because there's a lot of rocks with water and pongas versus, let's say, Four Seasons Lanai, where you're laying on the lounge chair and it's a beautiful beach. There's no action. It's fun to see a little bit of like beach action.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's just.
I love that. Yeah. Love it. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the podcast again. It was just so fun to hear your insights and so many little takeaways for how hotels that are wanting to, grow their incentive travel business or grow their.
Thanks, Rachel.